Alright, here's what I hope will be a super simple Christmas ornament made on the wood lathe in the wood shop. So, we're going to find a box of wood with a bunch of scraps in it. Dig through and find the perfect one that you like. There's no one right answer here, just whatever your taste is. First thing we need to do is put it in a bench vise. We need to find the centers of both ends. You'll need a combination square. Hopefully it's in your pocket or whatever. And using the diagonal in the square, mark 2 diagonals corner to corner. You're going to do this on both sides. On one of the sides, mark a vertical across the end and also mark it on one edge. We're going to use that for drilling the holes later. On the other side, you'll just need to make an X, which is not in this video. Over in the drill cabinet, you'll need a Forstner bit. 7/8 of an inch works pretty well. It's up to you on size. Too big and you'll have a problem with the wood turning. And too small, just, I don't know, doesn't look that good. In the drill press, make sure you put it not up to the shoulder, or not past the shoulder, just up to the shoulder. Insert it in nice and tight. You'll want to set the fence now so that the center of the drill bit goes right to that line that you drew, and then lock the fence in. The end stop you can put wherever you want. You can put it dead center, slightly to the top. The key here is that you have the same position in all 4 holes. Turn the drill press on, about 1200 RPM I think is what we're running there. And drill about halfway through. Rotate, make sure you brush the shavings out of the way. Drill through all 4 sides. You can see there what that end stop is for. And if everything's set up right, you'll have 4 nicely even spaced holes. And then turning this drill press off, use the red off button, not the emergency stop. When you're done, please put away the drill bit, unless there's somebody behind you that's going to use it, back into the case where you got it. And be sure to give it a good thumbs up. Alright, going over to the lathe, we're going to use those X's that we made and set the live center on this end and the spur on the other end, right onto the X's. You're going to have to get it good and tight. At this point right there, I can turn it by hand so the motor won't give it any power. So keep tightening that tailstock in until it's got a good bite on the material so that when you turn the lathe on, it actually turns the material and not just the spur. Alright, to operate this, there is a forward and a reverse setting. Up is forward, down is reverse. There's also an electronic speed control, and the green button turns it on. So start with it in the slowest position. Slowly turn the speed up until there's a speed that sounds about right. Usually about halfway up for the first few cuts. Double check, make sure that your tool rest is about 1/2 inch away from the farthest part. Alright, here I've got our tools. This is a spindle gouge. It's got kind of a C shape to it. That's what we'll start with. The round scraper is for once the material is round, for making shapes. The skew chisel is for making straighter lines or doing outside curves. And the last one is the parting tool. I'll show each of these in turn. Okay, we are going to start with the spindle gouge. That's the one that's got the bowl shape cut in it. And with the tool on the tool rest, you're going to want to have your hand in contact with the tool rest at all times. I'm using an underhand grip right there. Slowly go back and forth, knock the corners off. You want to make many light passes. Don't try to take too much off at a time or you'll tear out the grain. And then as you go, advance the tool rest forward so that it continues to be about 1/2 inch away. And you can see me setting the tool up on top there. What I'm doing is checking for round. You can tell if it's round because it makes a nice smooth sound, otherwise it makes a thunk-a-thunk-a-thunk-a-thunk-a sound. Notice also I'm going really slow when I go by those holes because there's not a lot of material there. You don't have to be super neat here. The goal here is just to remove material and get it round so that we can start making the shape that we want. When you get to the ends, also watch out for the metal parts of the lathe. You don't want metal on metal contact. Okay, so now that we're nice and round, we're going to use our parting tool. This one, if you look at the cutting edge, you want the cutting edge to be horizontal to the work. We're going to make a mark about 3/4 or so of an inch in. This is just to give us some scrap at the end so that we're not cutting too close to the headstock or the tailstock. So use the parting tool, push it straight in with the cutting edge horizontal, cut about halfway into the material, and then we're going to switch back to our spindle gouge. At this point, there's no real right answer. You're just making a shape that you like. You can do a teardrop shape. You can get fancy if you want. Use the spindle gouge. Just hog out material. Get as much wood out of the way so that you can start shaping later. And it is okay to cut into that, that space on that scrap end on the end that we made right there. For the record, we're going about 4 times speed here on the video, so don't try to cut that fast, you'll hurt yourself. Okay, now we're switching to the skew chisel. And we're going to use this to flatten out those shapes. You can use the point of it to get in for detail. You can use the flat edge of it for getting a nice, smooth shape now. That's all the spiral marks left from the spindle gouge. Really tight on the end as much as you can. Make sure it's probably about a 1/4 inch material. That'll just help the shaping at the very end. Once you have your shape, turn the lathe into reverse, slow it down a little bit, get some 100 grit sandpaper, or 120, 150, whatever we have, and it's back and forth until you get all the tool marks off. When you're done with the 100 grit, switch up to a 200 grit. It helps to fold it in half to keep it from tearing. And you want to get all the sanding marks off from the 100 grit and just get it super duper smooth. Go ahead and plan on spending a few minutes here. Again, we're going 4 times speed on this, so you'll be here for a little bit. Alright, take it off the lathe. We're going to go get a coping saw and take it over to a bench vise and cut those 2 scrap ends off. There's no real right or wrong way to do this. Some people will cut it right on the lathe. This is a little bit safer. You'll see wood turners just cut it right off into their hand from the lathe while it's spinning. I don't recommend this time around. So we'll use the coping saw, and be sure to throw your scraps and stuff away. And then back to your 100 and 200 grit sandpaper. You want to sand off all the saw marks, get that end nice and smooth and round. Works just to stick it in your palm and shape it that way. Keep sanding until all the tool marks are gone. Sand until you hate sanding, and then sand some more. Okay, now it's time to put a finish on it. We're going into the finish room. Notice we've got some signs on the door. Please pay attention to those. You know, like, I don't know, putting the lid on the Danish oil seems to be a common theme here. So you find the Danish oil in a nondescript silver can marked Danish oil. You'll need that and a can opener and a roll of paper towels, aka paintbrushes. Give the Danish oil a good shake. Take off about a square foot of paper towel, and you're just going to fold that into a paintbrush. That's why we love the Danish oil, because it's really easy to apply and it doesn't go through a lot of paintbrushes. Just dip it in about a 1/2 inch, rub it around. It's no big deal if it gets on your hands. It comes off with soap and water. Make sure you get into the holes. Anywhere there's end grain, you're going to use a little bit extra product. When you're done, put the lid back on the Danish oil. Do it. After about 10 or 15 minutes of Danish oil, wipe the Danish oil off, hang it up on the shelf, put the Danish oil away, and hang the key up. You can come back tomorrow, and after about 24 hours, it's ready to go. Make sure you put your paper towel in the red can with the lid closed so it does not combust.